Hi, welcome. Thanks for spending time with me this afternoon. I appreciate it. We're going to talk about tech debt as innovation. That's me. I'm Lisa Shissler-Smith. I'm an engineering manager at Netflix. My pronouns are she, her. I'm dressed in all black today and covered with tattoos. I've been at Netflix for about 3.5 years now. Though I work for Netflix, I do not speak for Netflix. Neither do I get free Netflix. We all pay full freight for our streaming services. I'm happy to talk to you about what it's like to work at Netflix, but I also don't know how I got my job at Netflix, so I don't know that I can answer that question for you. So today we're going to talk about what exactly is tech debt. My team, Technology Lifecycle Innovation at Netflix, aka Netflix's digital janitors, and how you, no matter what organization you're with, can tackle tech debt, and then we'll have a little time for questions and answers. All right, so what is tech debt? At the heart of it, it's a resourcing dilemma. Do you spend time and resources on what you already have, or do you spend time and resources on the shiny new stuff? Now, I know what everybody wants to do, right? But got to keep the lights on. Because if you don't keep the lights on, then there are no lights for you to see to innovate on other things, right? You got to keep the money coming in. It's not a trick question, but it's a tricky question. And it's kind of critical understanding what tech debt is and how you handle it. So if you ask different people what tech debt is, they'll probably all have different answers, but they all think of it as scary. And one thing I forgot to mention at the top of this presentation, what you are guaranteed to get today is Netflix references, memes, and AI-generated images. I asked DALL-E to give me 3 humans thinking of scary things, and this is what we got. We had like a haunted house, a zombie apocalypse, and then maybe a different kind of scary ghost over there. The first iteration had a lot of spiders. This is, I think, the 5th or 6th. Sometimes I want to show all of the different options it gave me. The plain fact of the matter is, it's at least at Netflix anyway. It's old code. It's also old devices, but also it's things like security, maintenance, operational type tech debt, deployability, knowledge gaps. All of these are tech debt, and ignoring any of them will lead you to more scary things. But what do we care? What does it matter? You know, everything works when I click the Netflix button. I hear to doom, looks good to me, woohoo! If we don't pay attention to it, we end up with this. Now, everybody recognizes it, hopefully, from XKCD. This was our friend, that one little JavaScript library that took down the entire internet. But you end up with this. I like to call it the toothpick in the Jenga tower. It's that one little fragile thing. And in Netflix, we've been carrying stuff around for a really long time. We've been around for a long time. And in fact, my team is responsible for maintaining a library called NCCP, which is the original streaming protocol. It's still alive today. Why? You'll have to talk with my friends at British Telecom and Orange, who make my life difficult, but also Dish Network. Thousands and thousands of Dish Network boxes deployed in rural hotels. We have backed off from everybody should have the exact same experience at Netflix, no matter how old your device is, but there are still old devices that we're obligated to support contractually. They kill me. This is where my team comes in. We're called Technology Lifecycle Innovation, which is a word salad that is essentially meaningless, but does equate to the heroes, honestly, of Netflix. Here's another AI-generated image for you. The old stuff on the left. How do we innovate into the new stuff? Our team's mission is expressed as a haiku. We're great at launching, not so much at deleting. Let's excel at both. It's super easy and super exciting to launch new stuff, but the old stuff still remains. So we are, another AI-generated image, technological chameleons. We become whatever you need us to be. My team will. I've stopped calling it throwaway code because I can show you our code base. We don't throw anything away. Bridge code that takes you from one place to the next. We'll happily build that for you. Right now, our architectural transition is moving away from a monolithic API structure into the sunshiny world of GraphQL. And that's exciting, but it's not for everybody. So we exist also to maintain that bedrock space in between the old architectures and the new, and provide space for whoever needs to build whatever they need to build. We also help teams understand what that architectural transition looks like for them. And we run a very big API that handles 85% of streaming traffic. So we're in the mix for everything. We have pure legacy, the things that we're actively trying to burn down, and we also have the middle ground, that liminal space between pure legacy and the bleeding edge. We happily exist here. I have a team of 12 humans, and they range in tenure from 13 years at Netflix to 2 months. I cover a huge range of distributed systems engineering prowess and know-how, and what I like to call forensic engineers who will dig until they find the beginnings of a project and understand it. I like to liken my team to, I offer them a box full of snakes and knives and bid them stick their hand in. And they are fearless and will do so. You could get cut, you could get bit. It could be kittens, it could be candy, you don't know. It's an exciting adventure. Our rallying cry is invest to divest. So you might be wondering, cool, that sounds great for Netflix, but how do I? What should I even think about? So I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do. We rely on the Queen, Missy Elliott. Do you have a thorny problem, a very complicated system? Don't try to swallow it all down at once or yank it wholesale out of the middle of your system. Flip it over. Don't start there at the very top. Start down here. Pick off the low-hanging fruit, the smallest surface area. Take down one piece at a time, and eventually you will get to the place where this thing no longer has teeth. It is no longer scary. It just exists, and you can get rid of it. There's a biological component called a biological principle. The plant is called a strangler fig, and it grows up around an existing tree until it has its own infrastructure to support itself, and then the interior tree sadly sacrifices itself, but it was the core of the trunk of the new strangler fig. Here's your next Netflix reference. This is so fun. Any 3-body problem fans in the crowd? Yeah, all right, here we go. So fun is a project that my intern developed this summer that we're investing in pretty heavily to identify tech debt. And tech debt has a problem of, like, you know it when you see it, but unless you go looking for it, you don't always know. We were discussing moving an item this summer, and one of the teams that relied on it was like, well, we don't care, it just works, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, it's on our oldest API that we don't know that we can 100% get back should it go away. So if it goes down, and they were like, that's fine, it doesn't matter to us, we don't care. And I'm like, I get it, I care deeply. And so I'm gonna move it and keep your connectivity. But the problem was many people don't know the foundations upon which their system is built. So SOFON aims to operate under a variety of metrics, but the core of it is a resource graph of our entire architecture that another team has thoughtfully built. But we're going to calculate and compute tech debt scores for each component, but it will also incorporate the tech debt score of the things that it relies on. So your score is affected by where it lives in the architecture. We'll provide evidence so that you can trace that back, and we will provide actionable items for the teams that are engaged in trying to repair this tech debt. So it's not just going to be about what you're working on, but what it relies on. And if that number is an alarming number to you, you will investigate further down the tree and see where things go. I'm not saying everybody has to invest in a bespoke system. We tend to do that a lot at Netflix. You can also use, this is a view from Jira where you can employ filters and you can identify things. This team has used tagging labels, and you can append labels one to the next. So you add tech debt type, and then you can add labels to determine the source of the debt, and they're tracking their debt over time. So you don't have to have a bespoke system. You can leverage these cool filters inside Jira or whatever source management program that you use. Everybody has some sort of filtration system. Just marking things and labeling them as tech debt allows you to then keep track of it. If you can count it, then you can count it down. And then our last protocol that I'm going to talk to you about is my invention, Flamingo Team 6. So in industry, when you have a problem that you can't solve, frequently a tiger team is called in. A tiger team is there because we'll just see everything is messed up. The Flamingo team is a slightly different philosophy. Each human on the team was responsible, as a singular human, they were responsible for some big, heavy protocol by themselves, because over time, people who knew how to do it left teams or whatever, and they got left holding the bag. And I regard any single point of failure as unsustainable. And so these people were carrying the pager 24/7, 365 for some thorny protocol that has some element of risk attached to it, meaning they could never really take any time away. They were always bound to their computer at some point. So I brought 6 level 6 engineers together. It's Flamingo Team 6. Flamingos operate as a flock. They're filter feeders. So when one is feeding, the rest of the flock is looking out for them. And so I set up now, we have a 6-week rotation for all of these protocols. And in fact, one of them, the thorniest, oldest one, had not worked locally for more than 10 years. And one of those engineers took it on as a weekend project and decided he was going to make it happen, and he did. So not only did we de-risk the individual protocol, but we were able to give those folks some sort of backup, so they never really had to be by themselves anymore. Now, I'm actually winding down the Flamingo team. They came together this past March, and by March of next year, they will no longer exist, which is their entire point. I wanted to prove that we could bring together a purpose-driven team, use it for what we needed to do, is de-risk some of these protocols, while my team was understaffed, and then I got my team staffed up, and they're going to be able to handle all this stuff because now it's in a much more maintainable state. So you can use these kinds of targeted teams to not only take care of the problem that you have, but then you can make them, they can go back away again. What's happening locally is that many of them they're throughout an entire department. Many of them have moved on to other projects. And so they were taken out of their primary on-call rotation and put into the Flamingo team rotation. But now the Flamingos can disband or deflock, and they will go their separate ways. But we will have done what we had set out to do. So bring together an attack team or a support team, but make sure that there is no single place where a legacy system has only one maintainer. That's not safe or sustainable. I'm a big fan of sustainability. So that's all my talking right on time. And now, questions. Please ask me anything. Again, I don't know how to get you a job at Netflix.